All right, Friday night, Oregon, Washington, the rematch. I still think it's the best football game of the year so far. Back in Seattle earlier in the season, and I opened up my gambling app Friday night after Oregon beats Oregon State or whenever it was. I opened up the app and I'm like, all right, I'm going to take the Ducks, probably a -3, -4. I'll take the Ducks. If it gets up to 5 or 6, I still might take the Ducks, but I'm not sure. I'm going to go in there and place me a wager. Sure enough, it's 9 when I open it up, and I stopped. I was like, oh my gosh. It got up to about 10. You can get it at 9.5 maybe now, some places. I think here's ultimately what I think. If Oregon plays the game it played in Seattle and plays its normal football game, then I think Oregon's the better team, and Oregon wins the game by about 7 or 8 or 9 points. If Washington plays its normal football game, the way it's been playing for the vast majority of the second half of the season, Oregon is going to win the football game. I think Washington is certainly capable of winning. I think Michael Penix is certainly capable of doing something special with all those players. I do think there is a chance that the Heisman Trophy is on the line in this football game. I think Jaden Daniels is the leader right now, but if Bo Nix does something special in this game, I think he wins the award and potentially takes it away. If Michael Penix does something special, he could win the award. I have not yet voted on either that or the Heisman or the Biletnikoff, because I think, frankly, if somebody in a purple uniform does something special in this particular game at wide receiver, I think there's a chance that he could win the Biletnikoff award. Odunze could win the Biletnikoff in this game. So it is everything you want in a game. I just wish I wish the teams maybe were more evenly matched. Maybe that means Washington is going to surprise me, and Washington is absolutely the bet. But this number tells me that Vegas is begging you to take Washington.
So in the 3 of the last 4 Pac-12 championship games, the winner has won by 20 plus points. So it really hasn't been that close in the last couple Pac-12 championship games. I went into this game kind of thinking we should not be doubting or overlooking Washington, because I think everybody's going to be on Oregon, and rightfully so. Couple plays go their way differently in the first game. They win the matchup in Seattle. And it's really about maximizing drives and finishing this time for Oregon. 3 times in kind of scoring territory, and came up short to finish the game and on the goal line. And of course, they missed a field goal as time expired. So missed opportunities for Oregon in the first game. Can they finish those drives this time? So it's almost who can finish drives better this time around. You know, if you're trading 3 for 7, who's creating a havoc play or two, a takeaway, who's getting pressure on one of the quarterbacks. The first game came down to the end, obviously. Kind of think the same thing is going to happen here. I think Oregon is probably better equipped to win this game because they're better on defense. I think they're better balanced on offense. One thing to consider for Washington, too, Jalen McMillan has been injured most of the season. He didn't play a whole lot against Oregon. He caught 5 passes against Washington State. If they can get him going again to team with the Odunze, it's another weapon for Michael Penix. I think Washington keeps finding ways to win. They will have to do so again here on Friday, because they are obviously, like I said, double-digit underdog. I think Oregon's just better on defense. They've got better balance on offense, and I think Oregon in the rematch will do a better job of finishing drives this time. So I like the Ducks to win. I think the 10 points or 9, wherever it ends up, is too much, though, because I think Washington will keep it much closer than that.
Sucker bet. Do you think the Heisman is on the line in this game? Do you think the winner, if they do something great, like you look at Bo Nix's numbers against all the best teams on their schedule, and his numbers are absurd. I know Jaden Daniels' numbers are spectacular because he's got all the rushing yards, over 1,000 yards. But Bo Nix, from an efficiency standpoint, like he's not throwing bubble screens. He's not at 78, 79% with a bunch of bubble screens. He is going down the field and his efficiency metrics are off the charts. And I do, by the way, Odunze, from Las Vegas, so he's probably going to have a lot of friends and family in the crowd as well. It is a sucker bet, but do you think the Heisman's on the line here?
Potentially. Personally, I like Jaden Daniels at 1 right now, but if Bo Nix or Michael Penix has a huge performance, I think it's going to be hard to ignore, especially because LSU's not playing this weekend. So yes, to answer your question, I think potentially the Heisman is on the line. Obviously, we know the Pac-12 championship and likely a berth in the college football playoffs. There's a lot at stake in Vegas.
Don't you think Bo Nix has a better chance to do it than Michael Penix?
Yes, because I think the way that Washington has played the last few weeks, and not to mention, Penix didn't have a great game against Washington State. His numbers 162 passing yards against Oregon State. He had a great game against Utah, but the numbers have kind of dipped a little bit. So I would suspect that Nix probably has a better chance to win the Heisman with a strong performance. But if Heisman voters are smart and they're not voting before Friday's game, Penix still has a chance to impress too.
Yeah, I got to call up my guy. He's a friend, but I'm going to call him out. Chris Doring, who was like all over his radio show this week, being like, "Hey, everybody, just vote right now."
No,
and I'm like, no, no. Like, I think Marvin Harrison is the best receiver in college football. I think he might be the best player in college football, but I'm still waiting to see what Odunze does in the game before I vote for the Blitnikoff. Like Malik Neighbors is the other finalist. Those are the 3 finalists. And so, like, I'm just going to wait to see all the games. I just think no matter what, I still might end up voting for Marvin Harrison, but I'm going to wait to see all the games to decide, who I think the best is. And I think you absolutely, if you vote for the Heisman Trophy before Championship Saturday is done, I don't think you should be allowed to keep your vote.
I agree. I would revoke it for people voting early.
So. All right. I'm taking the Ducks as well, and I'm almost willing to lay the points because I think Vegas is begging you to take Washington. But Washington has been this, every now and then we have these teams. TCU was last year. You got Ohio State in 2002 that won a championship. Some Auburn in 2010. Like, sometimes there's teams that just figure out ways to win every single weekend, and that's all they do. They don't look spectacular doing it, but they figure it out every single weekend. And so far, 12-0 is 12-0. So you got to give Kalen DeBoer and Washington a ton of credit.